Hey Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Man, appreciate you for having me.
No, man, I had to reach out. Um, I don't know if you follow me on TikTok. I'm not sure, but but I put out a TikTok about sneaker insurance and if there is sneaker insurance, and then the algorithm blessed me on Instagram with
It's
you
like
with
we
SoleSafe.
heard what you were saying. We heard
So I was just like, yo, let me hit you up and see was like if you're able to jump on. Well, I was just like, who can I talk to at SoleSafe
yeah.
about about this? And then
You about to hear it straight from the source, that's for sure.
that's for sure. It's very dope. But for people who aren't familiar with you and SoleSafe, can you introduce yourself and plug it at the top?
Yeah, yeah, I could do that. So I'm Phil. Friends call me PT, people that know me. I'm the founder, CEO of a hopefully a dope startup for the sneaker community that ultimately offers insurance, but really the idea of protecting what people love. And so I started the company actually 3 years ago and have been deeply trying to make sure that the product was intentionally created for the community, for the culture, and not just another insurance product that slapped the policy together and said we cover stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be for sneaker collectors, sneaker community by somebody who is from the same community, and so that's what we did, right? And so I know we'll get into some of the nitty gritty of it all, but that's me. Yeah, I'm in an actual sneaker room. A lot of people are like, "Is that wallpaper?" No, it's not the wallpaper, right? Like I can touch the wall for a little bit.
I
I'm like,
mean,
we can open the containers.
when you pulled up, I was just like, oh man, like, because I'm
Yeah,
always like, I don't have the sneaker wall, and like I'm such a big fan of boxes
yeah,
that I don't think I could do a sneaker wall because like the most I'll do, like I've had a previous guest Fresco on, and Fresco, he's literally, his background is just sneaker boxes that are leaning, they're all just
yeah.
leaning, and
Yo, like over there is like a whole thing full of sneaker boxes. Like, can't it's I don't know. It's weird because at first, like, I wasn't into the container thing,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, the boxes, I gotta keep them in the boxes, and this whole thing. And then I was like, yeah, okay, this is like there's so many too, right? And so then you
Mhm.
start to be like, what? And some of the boxes, like I don't care what people say, like a Jordan 1 box, like the black and red one. Yo, if you got a lot of them, they all look the same. Which I know like people put the little pictures on them, like I'm good. And then I started getting like, I was like the containers, it looks good, the aesthetic is nice, it's kind of like art, it's colorful, So anyway, so
No,
love it.
yeah. That's I think that like when I guess I want to say that sneakers became more internet, that like these boxes
Hell yeah,
started popping
they
up,
started popping up.
yeah.
Yeah, if you were like, oh, that shit makes sense.
And then yeah, people just started buying into it. I mean, like I remember back like before Container Store started making those boxes,
Yeah.
that like people were just like, oh yeah, I just put them in like IKEA things, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
no, for real. It was
yeah.
like the little Target joints, like Walmart. Like you can get all these little bins. You're like, yeah, this will work. And then you're like, oh wow, that is actually like more practical, right? Like, no, I made a box for the shoes. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But you're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week at the beginning of the show, and
Yeah.
that is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
Yeah, well, it's crazy because my first pair is actually a Jordan 5 Fire Red, the silver tongue. I still have the size, it's like size one. So I mean, like I have like an OG
Mm-hmm.
size. I think that's the shoe that, whether I knew it or not, started the whole love for sneakers, 32 years ago, right? I still have the tin can boxes from a store over in North Minneapolis, where I'm from, Freedman's, mom and pop type vibe. You go in there, there's all kinds of kicks,
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole thing. So that's always like my grail pair, right? Like I'm actually on the hunt right now for like a pristine pair of that I could try to maybe wear. I doubt that it'll happen for real.
From
I would just want to,
1990.
yeah, from nine. I want like a pair from 90. It's more, it's one of those girls where you're like, you're on a hunt for something
Mm-hmm.
less because like no one else probably is out looking for this pair right now. They're probably like, why would this dude want that? But like all fives, like I have a love for fives. I was born on the 11th, so I love 11s
Mm-hmm.
because a Midwest kid. Like I love Jordans, so that's my first pair though, Jordan 5 Fire Red
Yeah,
Silver Toe.
let me give the listeners a little rundown of the Air Jordan 5 OG Fire Red from 1990. Over the course of the 1989-1990 NBA season, Michael Jordan put up numbers that separated him from his peers, likening his ruthless style to American World War II fighter jets. Nike designer Tinker Hatfield stamped the shark tooth graphic on Jumpman's fifth Air Jordan sneaker. I feel like sometimes Goat just has like these weird.
Yeah, it sounds so proper. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, what did they do, bro?
First released in 1990, the Fire Red model represents one of the shoe's four OG colorways. The Air Jordan 5 gained further recognition from the original "It's Gotta Be the Shoes" commercials, a Nike campaign. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like me.
yeah, Nike campaign funded by Bars Blackman, Spike Lee's character from the 1986 movie She's Gotta Have It. So yeah,
That's
I'm
my
mad because like usually I read this and it gives like the color so that people can envision it, but
yeah.
I mean at this point just start googling stuff, man.
You know what it is when you see it. But people probably gonna go look at the commercial. It's like it's got to be the shoes.
Yeah, yo, that commercial, man. I wish I was alive for that, cause like that's just
Oh,
a
go by.
yeah, that was just I felt like that was just like a moment where you'd be like, oh snap, like that's like that because like for me
Yeah.
my original Nike commercial my original basketball sneaker commercial is the Grandmama Larry Johnson commercial.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my
I got you. I did.
but,
Okay.
but the Nike basketball commercial with the basketballs
Yeah. Like the beat.
yeah.
Was that Jason Williams? Or am I tripping?
Was it Jason Williams in there? I think he had to be in there.
I feel like at that time, yeah.
Yeah, but I know it was like a bunch of like street ballers because they were
Yeah,
trying to compete with and one.
and one, yeah.
Yeah, and so
I was
like
like, yo, no one's Philip champion. I saw who he is. Just let it go.
yeah, for real. But yeah, that commercial was just like, oh yeah, and then that's immediately I was like, okay, I gotta go back. I gotta buy some like flight pauses or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I'm gonna have better hands. Like, I'm gonna be better.
Uh-huh.
You know.
So you said you were from Minneapolis. What's like the sneaker scene there? Because you're literally the first person from Minneapolis. So now I need to know. Is there? I feel like there isn't a sneaker scene because it's nothing but snow there. It's about like
Hey,
all
it
the
snows
time.
today. It snows today. Um, yeah. So I think our sneaker culture is probably a little different than probably other bigger cities in the country. It's not like the LA, Houston, Atlanta, DC, even Chicago, right? Like being so close, even Detroit. I would say it's like really small, really sort of like niche in the niche, which is crazy. We have a couple stores. One of the stores I'm like really close to would be like Studio 23. They're like in a lot of the like neighborhood campaigns with Nike. They have a few other accounts, but like it's dope to see like a store like in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
maybe get like a Tiffany release, maybe. They've alluded to that, like, which is interesting. But it's like, the reason why I'm thinking of like those kinds of drops is because like you don't associate like you just did, right? You don't associate sneakers and Minneapolis together, right? Most people like know Minneapolis maybe because of music,
Yeah.
right? With like Prince,
Right.
like that's it, right? It's like okay.
All I know is like Prince, Green Bay, and cheese.
Yeah,
So,
right.
like,
Yo, that's a whole other state. So like that's even worse. Like, but
wait, I'm
say,
confusing it. I'm confusing it.
Yeah,
Minneapolis,
Green Bay,
Minnesota. I'm thinking Vikings because I was already in my head thinking about Dante Culpepper, and my bad.
That's Dante,
Yeah.
Randy Moss. We were
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a whole era.
Well, I mean, Randy had a shoe, right? Or he played in like
yeah. But he's a hooper too, though. So it's like it makes sense. I would say back to your question, like it's an interesting space to be in sneakers, let alone like, a lot of people they just don't associate it to sneakers in any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's dope though, right? I think it's an emerging space around that.
Mm-hmm.
The environment around here, this community is super diverse, right? So you have people from all over, different ethnic communities in the cities too. So I think it's starting to bring different styles with sneakers. You're starting to see more sneaker stores pop up, both like retail and on the resale side. So um, we'll see how the maturation process goes. But I think we got some time before we're a city that has like a staple, so to speak. But
No, yeah. I mean, I think you which is interesting because especially since you're
yeah,
introducing an app that helps all this, right? So
not a fun.
like so yeah, you're going to be like part of the foundation of I guess
Yeah,
the sneaker scene because as you get this stuff more out, it becomes more accessible, right?
100%.
And then you're talking to these stores and these stores are just like, yeah, hold an event, you know. Bring your
No,
sneaker
fact.
wall. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
bring all your bring it all.
Bring it all.
Um, it's dope though. It's like on that front, it's cool because it's like I get to sort of expand the reach, from hopefully over time of what we do because we're gonna end up people that buy insurance or rock with the app or whatever it is, or even that I meet, right? Like you're not in Minnesota, you're not even close, right?
Hmm.
But now you get to hear about it. People that follow you, listen to the podcast, they'll be like Minnesota, cool. Like where is that even at on the map, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I mean, obviously, I confused it. So.
Yeah, it's all good. It's like, hey, if you get close, it's good. That means we got some work to do. But
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
like you hit Wisconsin, I was like, yo, we're so close.
That's like, but I'm like, doesn't Minnesota do that food fair?
Huh? We have a big
It's like a
state fair.
yeah, the state fair.
Yeah,
I want to go to
they
it.
do. Oh,
Yeah.
come
I
through.
was-
Yeah, we have some cheese curds and
yeah. I know. I know.
fried Oreos.
Don't you guys have that cookie? It's like a cookie that like it's like a bucket of cookies.
A bucket of cookies, yeah. I want to say Sweet Martha's, but it's something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're fire.
You're gonna be at the fair like we do insurance.
Yeah, hey, you drop these cookies flat out on those sneakers, it's for sure. Drop some
Oh,
cheese curds, so some corn dogs. That's all. It's all on there.
everything we
Accidental
covered.
damage.
But so like, what was high school like? What were you like? Were you always in the freshest J's? Because I think you're from. I mean, I'm looking at the right side, and the right side had your left is I see Air Maxes. So were you? I'm like. Your Jordan is your first shoe, so like, were you just Jordans straight up?
Because I hooped, like I had like phone posits, flight
Hmm.
posits, Barclays, like Duncan, like I just had all the. I even had back then I even had feelers. I love Grant Hill, which is weird,
Hmm.
because that's a whole other conversation. I'm actually a Tar Heel fan, but I really like Grant Hill, right?
You're a Tar Heel fan because of Jordan?
I'm a Tar Heel fan because of Jordan, and then it evolved
Uh-huh.
over time, right? With like Sean May, Felton, it's like Rashad McCants, like that was the
Hmm.
squad, right? Like so anyway, um, yeah, we could talk about the Tar Heels a lot, right? But yeah, in high school, man, I had all kinds of shoes, right? And then because I think for me, like I even had like I lived in Maryland for a few years, so
Hmm.
like my early years in high school, freshman, sophomore years, I was in Maryland, and so like I was exposed to the DC like DMV sneaker culture, which was obviously like Foams, Barclays, and Diodoras, right?
Hmm.
And so I was actually like I had a lot of Diodoras, so like every color probably. I didn't, and I wasn't as deep in the J's at that time, just because I think what I was exposed to, I was like, oh, that's hot. I want to wear those too.
Hmm.
And then when I came back to Minnesota, it was like people were like, "What are those?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" Like y'all don't know about this,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, people were talking about the Bacons coming out. I'm like, I was asking somebody else. I was like, I was like, I got old Bacons, right? Like, you talking about like the Supreme ones are cool. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I got like J Kid sneakers, like, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, like but Minnesota, they're like, yo, no. Like the only people that knew about sneakers for real were people that hoop.
Hmm.
right? Whether it was like Team Jordans or like, Team Nikes. Like I remember like we had like Team LeBrons with like I can't remember. I don't know if it's
The Zoom
name.
Generations.
It's like not the Zoom Generations. It was, what's the second one? I think it was the second one. It was like the little wavy like outsole. Like it was with the strap on it. I don't have those anymore. Look, I don't know if it's the second one or the third one. Like I'm not like totally deep in LeBron sneakers anymore. But I think I have 1 in 20. I got them South Beach though. That's two.
Everybody was going crazy for those damn South Beaches.
Yeah, I was like, yo,
What year would you say what that is? Like
that would have been like 07?
2007. Man, I'll be thinking LeBron has only been in this league.
I mean, he's hooping. It's his first year.
Yeah.
Father Time, I think, is catching up.
LeBron fours, the fours.
Are they black, white, and red?
Yeah.
Kind of like a little wave looking to them.
It's got the wave with like the lines on the outsole.
Perfect fours, perfect. Yeah. So those were like shoes like my junior year, senior year, high school. Those were like what we were hooping in. I was like, these are the heaviest shoes known to man, right? Like
they look mad heavy.
Yo, I was like, no jump shots happening with these on. Like unless you got crazy calves and are LeBron James, right? Mm-hmm. But that was kind of how it started on like starting to see like other types of sneakers beyond like J's. And so I started to get a little bit more diverse into the collection. Air Maxes, I love Air Max 1s. Like this whole situation over here is Air Max 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shout out Air Max month.
Love them to death. Can't. Yeah, it is Air Max 1. Huh? Man, February went by like that.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's a wrap. I was like, oh, no 29 this year. So yeah, that's kind of how it shaped out in high school, and in college it's crazy because I was doing like the reselling stuff. I went to historically black college Tuskegee, right? And down there is like I started to see like Southern influences of sneakers, like people from Houston, Atlanta, even starting to see people that came from like LA, Oregon, Washington to school. And I was like, man, this is crazy. It's like a little melting pot of all kinds of sneaker culture.
Yeah.
And then I saw the kids, like the folks from like the DMV. I was like, yeah, these are my people right here. I was like, yeah. Right. And a lot of those cats had like New Balances on, Tony, like, and I was like, yo, I'm not there yet. Like I literally, people that know me like know, like I probably literally just like I think I had New Balances like when I was younger, but like now like newer New Balances, like the newer sort of iterations of that, like Joe Fresh Goods, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like SoleSafeCo and all that. Like I never was into it. I just because I'm such a loyalist almost.
Right. I mean, that's what we grow up. That's what we grew up on,
I'm like, I can't do it. Like homies that work at Adidas, I'm like, I can't. I really can't. Like I'm really trying. I can't. Like I can't even hit checkout. Like I can't do it.
It's definitely like you don't want to get made for, like it's crazy because you think about it, you'd be like you at one point in your life you did not dress for yourself. You dressed to just stay. Yeah, you just to
stay current.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea of just being like, oh yeah, I don't want nobody calling me out for not wearing Nike, so I'm never gonna not wear Nike.
Gonna do it. Right. Yeah. And I was like, yo, I'll wear any type of Nike. Like I'll even wear some Air Monarchs. Like I don't care. I was like, I just can't do it. Right. Until recently. Right. Like literally the first pair of New Balances I bought in my adult time were the SoleSafeCo San Be the Time, right? Like that, and they're mad comfortable. Like I swear to goodness, I was like, I've been missing out. Like I've been asleep. I'm like, I'll swap some of these Nikes out.
Don't say that too loud.
Hey man, I was like, I got an extra pair of these lost and found. Somebody can trade. I
mean, if you a size 13, let me know, bro.
Immediately, bro. Like, immediately.
I mean, I'm what I'm noticing now, and what I think I appreciate now is, I mean, like you've named a couple, but like black designers
Black
getting in,
designers.
yeah, just getting
Yeah.
into like pushing New Balances, and and pushing out that like stereotype of like, oh nah, you got to be only on you got to only, oh, Nike heads, I wear chains to
Yeah.
excite the feds, like, like
Yeah.
you got
Oh,
you
it was
got
good. It was good.
yeah. So I think that, like, because like my one of the cops I wanted to get this year was the Brick and Woods, and they're still doing another raffle. But like, shout
Yeah.
out to Casey Lynch and that team over there. Like, they're that, like, a black storefront, black designer. Like, because to
Yeah.
me, I mean, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, to me, it, like, Nike has always had that like mix of like, okay, we got white person, we got black person, we got Spanish
Yeah.
person, yeah. But like, I always felt like New Balance was just like, nah, we don't do none of that.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
no, for real. And I don't know if it's weird how we like even culturally like sometimes create the illusion that like at least for me it was like New Balance is like for the dad that's going running.
mm-hmm.
It wasn't for like somebody who was like with it, like that had like some flavor to them, was fresh. Like it wasn't. I didn't correlate those things to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was probably because where I'm from, right? Midwest is like and I get it, like Joe Fresh, like that's dope now. It's like that now that connection has been made,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas it's like for me, it's like Chicago didn't mean nothing about New Balance.
No, yeah.
But Chicago is Jumpman,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like nah, which Jumpman equals Nike, right? So it's like everything else is out, right? And so I think that's to your point, right? Designers across a lot of brands, like like it's cool to see like New Balance, those are bigger brands,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there's a lot of like smaller brands, right? That new designers that we don't even know about,
Yeah.
right? That look just like us, and we, you know, hopefully I hear about it one day so I could like spend 400, $500,000 on that sneaker.
Yeah. I think that we are definitely getting more into that. Like, Saucony does some stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think hopefully we'll see more of it. I think the openness of being a sneakerhead, of like, all right, now I can cop other stuff. Like, I don't have to. It's like
It's like diversifying your palette.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say like, it's like when you suck in your stomach because that
Yeah.
girl passed it through, and now
You
and
go, you're like, whoo. You're like, I almost killed myself with that.
that's
Nah.
that's what it's like to be a sneakerhead before. Like, I think it was just like, oh, I'm trying to get that fit off or whatever, and now it's just like, nah, I want to get these because I like the person that designed it. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
dope. Yeah.
No, 100%. And then you tie that back to like, man, we invest so much of our time, energy, space to
Hmm.
try to either get a shoe, learn about a shoe, connect to the story, to the designer, to the brand. Like, it consumes you. Like,
Hmm.
and so you might as well like if you're gonna spend that much time, you might as well enjoy what you wear, like whatever that is. Like you're spending too much money to give a shit. It's like, oh, wear whatever I want.
No, yeah. So like, going to a historically black college. I mean, I wasn't like, I would have loved to go to one, to be honest. I didn't go. I went to.
Homecoming exists every year. You can come with me.
I'll be like, who's this dude? He never been here.
Like, it's my guy. Homecoming. Let's get it.
But yeah, I went to school. 'Cause I'm from New York, so like, I went to a city school. Because if you lie on it, I mean, hopefully they don't listen to this. If you lie on it, I went to school for free. I ain't got no debt. So
All right. Well, I mean, I'm debt free now, but it was for free. I know who Sally Mae is.
yeah, yo, for real. She
She's playing.
she whoever Sally Mae is, she know who everybody
She
is.
is the biggest man. She's the biggest.
But like, what was it like? Because I feel like that's like swag to infinity on there. Or I don't know if swag's a relevant term right
I,
now,
I,
but
I take it. It's that experience, man. Honestly, especially coming from Minneapolis, right? Like Minneapolis, diverse, but like from the historically black context, like
Mhm.
all the black people here know each other. Like,
That's
you know, that
wild.
means, right? Like,
That's
you know,
wild.
something like, like the Italians got like the 5 families.
Hmm.
It's like, so do the black people in the Twin Cities. It feels like that, right? It's like, it's the 5 families. And there might be like other names, right? But it's like, it all started with these 5 families.
Hmm.
But, then going to down south, it's like, it's weird how you can have culture shock within your own culture. Right. Like, so it's like for me, like being black, going to a black school, I was like, damn, like,
Hmm.
I was like, this is black. Like, no, this is like y'all all black. Right? Like this is fire,
Hmm.
and it's like excellence on 1,000, and then like swag on like 1,000,000,000,000,000. It's like, oh, you gonna go broke being fresh at a black school. Like, you gonna try to get that refund check. Like, you're gonna do anything it takes to be fresh. Like,
Get
I
that
swear,
stipend. You like,
man, it's
yo,
like
hook.
you gonna figure it out, get a work study job. I don't know what you gonna do. But like, seriously, like it was cool. So it was like, being able to see, it's like going to a fashion week every day.
Hmm.
Like people are like, I'm going to Milan, I'm going to Paris. I'm like, yo, I did that already. Like, I did it in a country town in Alabama, for 4 years. I was like, I saw everybody, people from London, Africa, like, Australia,
Hmm.
Canada, like across the US all in one place. Right. And whatever they wanted all day, every day. And it was super fly. And I was like, cool. And then you see it at all like other schools, and you're like, oh man, I thought we were like kind of unique. It's like, oh no, this is like the HBCU like way almost. Like, it's like fresh or nothing. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? I'm like, y'all, this is go broke or nothing. But and then you see the people out in the world now, and you're like, yeah, okay. I see what it is. Like, we're all just mirrors of each other,
Hmm.
like being super dope, doing dope stuff, and we just happen to like want to make sure we look really good
Hmm.
through the process. So
So you were saying you were reselling during this time. So like, what was that
yeah, I didn't
like?
know it was movement though. Like, I was like, because I was always like, it's funny when I remember when I moved into my freshman dorm, right? Like,
Hmm.
my mom was like, "Yo, where are your clothes?" I'm like, I got enough clothes. I need, because you only got but so much room.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I ended up, you have half of a room. So, I benefited because at that time my roommate was from Minneapolis. We were high school friends. So he
Oh, nice. Yeah.
worked out. He already knew what time it was. I was like, hey, bro, like, I'm probably gonna eat up some of your closet. You know what I'm saying? So I had my closet, his closet. It was just shoes like everywhere. And people would be like, yo, like, what is happening in here? And it was just because I had a lot of shoes.
Hmm.
It wasn't like I was trying to resell them, but then like I would be seeing, because we lived in a remote place, right? I would be like, well, y'all, like, people see me wearing sneakers and they're like, where'd you get those at? Or whatever. I'm like, oh, bro, like, I'll sell them to you, bro, no problem.
Hmm.
Like, or I got these other pairs, like, or what are you looking for? And I
Hmm.
wasn't like trying to be like the biggest like sneaker hustler on campus. Like, I was quietly like doing it like more like organically though. Like, if I come across you or you came across me or you was in the shoes, I knew you were in the shoes, like, transactions would just be occurring.
Hmm.
Right. I remember I sold my copper phones. Devastating. Devastating. Like, and I think because I'm thinking about it now, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no. I'm like, no. And then they re-released, and I was like, this is some bullshit.
But why'd you sell them?
It just made sense in the moment, right? I'm just
Hmm.
like, yo, whatever. I'm gonna get, because I'm like, I'll get these and I'll go get something else. Like,
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking of it as I'm gonna flip these and go, like, I'm a reseller. Like,
Hmm.
I wasn't into it for the profit. I was like, okay, a deal can get made. I want the money to go do something else. Sure, whatever. Right. And then I fast forward time to today, right? You're like, this is on steroids. Like,
Yeah,
it's
for real.
like whole marketplace. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the middle of like nowhere, with 100 pair of sneakers in a dorm room, selling them here and there, and just it's just
How did you move back then? Or how did you move to your next spot? If you had a like, what was that plan like?
what you mean? Like, my next dorm.
No, because like if you have 100 pairs of sneakers in a
Charlotte.
dorm,
Oh man,
yeah.
it's well, because the closet's like, like, if you little standard 32, whatever,
Hmm.
you know. So I'm just, in that time, there's no containers, right? It's just like boxes, it's like for real, like smashing shit in the closet, like it's whatever. Or it's
Mm-hmm.
in like, they have these little desks and you have like a shelf and I'm like, on the shelf, under my desk, like they're everywhere. So then moving is like, it's like the cloak of night, right? Like when I had to move into my next dorm room, like it was like, yo, they were like, it's time to move out. I was like, okay, mom, so this is the plan. I was like, you gotta come and like just park your, leave the car. I got it figured out from here out. I was like, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
move this, and I'm gonna have these blankets. I gotta cover up your car. She didn't have the tent. Like I had 5% tent. Like it was, it was the whole thing. It was the whole thing. I had the little Suzuki truck. I love that truck, man. It was perfect. I had a little hatchback, so
Uh-huh.
I could put the seats down, and it was
Yeah.
perfect. It was like the perfect situation. And I would just 5% tenant, throw them in there at night, boom. My other guy, man, it was like a whole master plan,
It
right?
was like an
It's
operation. It's not like you
like
moving
operation,
drugs,
we
bro.
call it like, right? It's like 18 years old. Like, what am I doing? Right. But it was more like I didn't want nobody to know I had all these shoes.
Yeah.
They knew I probably had a lot of shoes because like I was wearing different shoes every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the point was like they know where you live at, bro. It's like it's dormitories, right? And then I moved off campus, right? So that's when
Okay.
then it was like, it was love. I was like, the only person that knew what was going on was my roommate. Like that's it. My shorty. That was it. It was like, in the mailman.
Yeah, for real. I was gonna say, like, how
It was
were you just
a little
like?
shady back then, though. So he probably was like, yo, what is this? So then I had a new plan.
Mm-hmm.
I would have the shoes because, Atlanta's more mature, right? Packages going in and out of a place is more natural
Mm-hmm.
than, seeing a box like that in Tuskegee, right? Small thing, like I'll just leave it at that. And so I instead would have shoes get shipped to my mom's crib.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would, when I go home, get them real back, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
no one ever knew, right? And it's kind of funny because I do that same thing now. All my sneakers go to a PO box, and then so it's like I'm doing it now, and I don't know I'm doing it, right? So it's like the behaviors have all stayed the same, which is I'm like, man, wow, like I got a problem. Like I'm
You,
coming up with these like schemes to make sure I
yeah.
get a package. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
which
I
I probably
mean,
shouldn't have said out loud because if my like UPS, FedEx people are listening, they're gonna know what the fuck's going on.
I mean, you. It's just, I don't know. I honestly, this is the first time I've ever heard something like this, so I can't even.
Bananas, man. Seriously.
I think it's definitely like you don't want it to come to your house. You want to still go to it. I think that's what
Yes. Yeah.
because
I
yeah.
don't want it to come to me. No,
Which
because I've already had it. We've all had it happen, right? Like,
mhm.
and I know where I live at, right? Like, I'm not saying I live in like Beverly Hills. I live in the city, right? So
Mhm.
no matter what, right? Like, people aren't crazy, right? And you get the right person, it's a wrap. It's over with. Ring. I don't care what people say. They're like, I got Ring. I'm like, Ring did not stop them from taking it.
Oh
So,
man.
so that doesn't mean anything. Ring just means you recorded your own shoes.
Robbery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like so it's like that's it. So I've knock on whatever, have had a good situation going. So I don't intend to break that situation.
No, yeah. I'm definitely just like just send it to my house. But I also live in an apartment building. So it's just like I'm not paying for a PO box. Maybe when this podcast gets bigger, I'll pay for a PO
It's gonna
box.
blow up. Yeah, you're gonna have a PO box. I can guarantee it.
Then I'll be like, just throw the sneakers in there. It's fine.
Yeah,
Just throw it.
that's what I do. I got two pair in there.
I mean, listen, I made such a bad mistake this week. All right, so far I'm gonna
What
tell you,
you bought some shoes?
yes. So
A great situation.
hold on. All right.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
I so I'm gonna just preface this off. This has not been my week. All right, so I'm recording this the first week. We're recording this the first week of March. This has not been my week. All right. I can't go see JID and Smino on Friday because Tickets are extremely expensive right now. Resellers want $150 for a ticket, so I'm like, I can't go to that, right? Today, De La Soul dropped tickets to go see them, and I struck out on those as well. So,
Over two right now.
yeah. So I won the opportunity to buy the Ama Meniere's. Well, as previous guest Rob Hayes, who is from Atlanta, says, Ama Meniere's.
Okay, all right. That must be for the more cultured people. I say I'm on Meunier too.
Yeah, I say I'm on Meunier too. But so I was able to. I'm on the Discord and I won the chance to buy the white pair of the 12s.
So this is when the good news kicks in.
Right, exactly, right? So hyped, I get my invoice, right? Fill it out, I hit send.
Boom. W.
Shipping address is to the former co-host of this podcast, Iffy, and he lives in LA and I live in New York City.
I'm laughing with you, not at you though. But you are gonna get the shoes.
Hopefully, because he has a pair of shoes from last year he hasn't sent me.
Oh.
So
it's so you get them some shoes. That's all good. That's good karma, man. That's gonna come back tenfold. Yeah, I think.
I think the only way I'll be getting them is if I go over there and get them. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
You might have to go to LA.
Yeah, I might have to go to LA, but we'll see. Hopefully he will send it to me. I know he's gonna send me a video. I already see it because I tested him and I was just like, listen, I accidentally sent them to your house, and he just like he responded back to me, I'll let you know if I don't see him. And I was just like, okay.
If I don't see him, like, bro, I can track him. I know you got him.
Yeah, exactly. I got your signature right here. So but yeah, I think I need a PO box just because I did this to myself.
This solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Like I have no anxiety about stuff. Like no matter where I check out, every account gets the same address.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing. Like you could send me something and send it right to that PO box.
Yeah, I mean, when you asked me for my address, I was just like,
and it also is that I really don't need everybody to know where I live at.
Yeah.
Because now everybody know where I live at. They might, I got a wife and a dog to protect here, man. You can't be coming after these shoes.
Well, I mean, like, what was your inspiration to start?
Insured, though.
I was gonna say, what was your inspiration to start SoleSafe? Like, was there a moment in time that just like
there were a couple, actually, but so there were like a few happened in close proximity to each other, which I was like, maybe I'm in the right place at the right time. One was I was insuring my wife's engagement ring 3 years ago, and aside from like buying a house, car, like a single item for me, aside from sneakers, this is probably like. I've never been like a big jewelry guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is the most expensive like single item that I bought for someone else, not alone for me, but for someone else. And I was like, okay, So I had a lot of questions about insurance. I was like, so what happens? Like, y'all gonna pay me back? Like, if it slipped down the drain, she just loses it. It gets stolen. Like, I had all these questions, right? Questions I don't typically have for like insuring my car, right? I don't ask questions. I'm like, I know what's gonna happen, right? I know what I'm covered for. Some stuff I'm covered for. So that happened. And when I was talking to my agent, though, I happened to ask her about my sneaker collection because one, I had already had a collection, but the house that we bought to flip, there were about 10 or 12 pair of like original Jordans, like in boxes, little, not taken care of. Like this house was like basically abandoned, right? But for me, I'm like, oh, like. I don't care. These are 88 threes, right? Like,
wait, they were in the house?
In the house. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, with the boxes. So I'm like, oh, this is the greatest day ever, right?
Yeah.
For me. I'm like 88 threes, 92 Barcelona 7s. I'm like, charcoal 9s, olive 9s.
Wow.
I was like, this playoff 8s. I was like, this is great. Aqua 8s. I was like, this is fantastic, right? Like, what a great day, So I was like, all right, cool. I must be in the right house then. Like, that's a sign.
Yeah.
And then months later, our basement floods.
Oh.
Yes, my sneakers are in the basement.
Oh no.
Problem, right? So because I'm thinking like there's nowhere else for these shoes to go. So then I'm like negotiating with my wife. I'm like, what do we say first? I'm like, well, I'm saving the shoes, so like I gotta go, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I move. Like, granted, they're all in these containers, right? But it's like there's some boxes, like the regular boxes in there. Like this flooding thing was like enough for me to be like all combined to be like, yo, we're in the right space at the right time with an idea that's a little crazy. Because my agent was like, yo, we don't insure sneakers the way you talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm definitely not covering you for flood, right? Um, and I was asking like, well, what if I wear my sneakers? Like, can you, you know? She's like, I was like, what if the heel fell off tomorrow? Like while I was walking, like you know, I'm like giving her all these random examples, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, what? No, that's not a coverage that exists, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay. So I went out and looked at other, you know, products in the market. So I looked at AIG, right? They did couture insurance for
Mm-hmm.
handbags. So I was like, okay, we're getting close. The difference for them is like you got to be a high net worth individual. So I'm thinking, even if I was a high net worth individual, now I had to maybe migrate all of my stuff to AIG. I'm like, I just want to insure my sneakers,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want a standalone policy with very little friction to do that. And then, you know, okay, let me go back to other collectibles. Well, it's like they're thinking they're memorabilia. I'm like, well, so I can't wear
You
them.
can't
So I
wear
don't
them.
have,
Yeah.
right. So now I can't wear them. So I'm like, well, so where do I fall at here? So I'm still out of scope. And so I said, well, instead of convince like an old archaic industry like insurance that doesn't see sneakers or see the sneaker community the way I do, instead of convince, I'll create. And so that's what I did. No insurance background. So I went out and learned just like everybody else, anybody else would.
Mm-hmm.
Spent the hours mastering, understanding how would the product work, but then how do we get the coverage to match, right? And so you know I've gone and got licensed, and this is like some time now, you know. So it's like this isn't like some side project of love, right? Like this is like I'm in deep,
Oh yeah.
right? And to the point of like I'm a licensed adjuster, so it's like no matter what happens for the SoleSafe business, when it comes to a customer that gets insured, personally I can engage them as a founder, which is what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I know everything inside and out about the policies because I helped create them, right? Even to have a coverage called crumble coverage, right, for that very scenario, right? Of what if the sole fell off when I was walking, and it was a shoe that came out 2 years ago? This technically shouldn't happen. Now
No.
2 years,
Yeah.
I'm actually out of Nike's warranty,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now what do I do? Okay, I can go to a restore and do that, sure, right? Or maybe I'm like, yo, I'm over it. If I had insurance, done. Pay, I can get my money back, right? And so I was thinking about all the things that I would want, that I personally would want, right? And said, well, let's just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we went out, we have our insurance partners, which is, you know, a task, right? To get somebody in the insurance industry to set aside money in a bank, basically, to pay claims and to basically fully underwrite and back an unknown product, you know, unlike jewelry or sports memorabilia, something that's
Mm-hmm.
already been defined, um, for a very niche space like sneakers, in the way in which we're saying we want to cover people to wear their sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
All people are thinking about is this is going to be claims out the yin yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right. And so I'm like, I was like, maybe. I was like, but what people that aren't in the sneakers don't understand is no one's wearing their sneakers like and I say no one like loosely, unless you really are like shisty like that, right? Which, okay, there's a percentage of us, honestly, like in the sneaker world, I don't care what people say, that are grimy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that will do that. And I was like, but a majority of people aren't, that really love their sneakers, that would buy insurance, don't intend to go mess them up the outside. Like people I know, like I avoid trying to have shit happen. Like if
Oh yeah.
I see a puddle or anything, I'm like, okay, what path can I take here? Right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
even with insurance, right? Like I mean, I would feel more comfortable now to be like, well, I'm just gonna plow through this, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if that's what it meant. But it's like no one has the intention to mess up their shoes, right? Like that defeats the whole purpose of me trying to get the shoe to begin with.
Right.
Like, you know, and so it's more about having peace of mind while I'm rocking this shoe, that if something happened, no matter what it is, I know that SoleSafe, my insurance, is going to look out for me because they are me, right? There's not going to be the hassle of market value, retail value. Like,
Mm-hmm.
No, it's market value. That's or whatever you insured it at, which is like the name your price situation. So it's like thinking of all the things, at least in the beginning, right? That ideally we capture 80%, 90% of what people want. The other 10 we can incorporate as we grow with the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes more synonymous with when I buy a sneaker, I insure it. Just like I buy a flight, I can buy trip protection.
Right.
Right? They go together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you buy a ring, you buy insurance. You buy a car, you buy insurance. You buy anything of value, you insure it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in a six-figure sneaker room. The one thing in my house that's not insured, technically it is now because I just got SoleSafe today,
Mm-hmm.
was my sneaker collection. Of all the things that I care about in the house, the one thing I cared most about was the one thing that was uninsured. So it's like it doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, I've been thinking about it too because like I have to get insurance because I own this apartment, so like I have to get insurance, but I'm always like, does that include my sneaker collection? And then like I'm doing the research, I'm like, it doesn't. I was just like, so then what happens if like, so say if I have fire insurance, right, and God forbid, knock on wood,
Yeah,
my yeah, my whole apartment burns down, but like I don't get my sneakers back, like, or like I don't get like there's no monetary value to the
yeah,
sneakers, like, yeah.
yeah. So and that was like, and that's the question I get all the time, like off jump. Okay, Phil, I buy the insurance. What do you cover? From fire, mold, water to theft, your dog chewing on it, like it getting lost in transit, it
Mm-hmm.
getting lost in your bag getting checked on an airplane, like all these things that we actually don't do because we're like, oh, like I go to an airport, I don't check any of my sneakers I care about. They
Mm-mm.
gotta come on the plane, right? That's why private label and all them brands exist because they know, yo, we gotta transport our sneakers somehow, right? So it all makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But to your like scenario, we'd be like, yo, we may even, depending on the sneaker's condition in the fire, we may be able to salvage it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe through the restoration process, maybe, right? But otherwise, it's like, oh, your shoes were X value at the time of the claim, at the time of the loss. Ooh, we already know that because it's on record.
Right.
And we've been tracking it. Like that's the whole thing. Like we've been watching it. So we know, right? Cool, you're gonna get paid, right? Just like you total your car, your car gets burnt up, they cut you a check. I mean, they take your car and
Mm-hmm.
take it to the salvage yard or whatever. But you get made whole, right? Like that's what you want, right? You want
Yeah.
to be like, "Cool, I'm made whole, and then I can go rebuild my collection,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or do whatever you want to do."
Right.
Which
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
that's the
like, I definitely think that like if you're listening to this and thinking about it, like grail insurance, like just covering your grails, just have that like as your start.
right.
That's what like me thinking about it, like as I if I would do it or will do it. Is like, so say if I get my pair, because one of my grails is the Floms, right? That's a $15,000 sneaker, right?
Yep.
Like if I decide to jump in and do that and then get the insurance on that, that would be like the safest bet. Like, because a lot of these people now are fiending over, what the dunks and like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like,
How
it's
much
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the condition, the size, etc., whatever the parameters are for you,
Hmm.
um, you're gonna pay likely 2 to 3%, if not less than that, right? And you insure it. You can insure it monthly, right?
Hmm.
Or you can pay up front. That's your call, right? But whatever, that's it. If something happens to it, you file a claim. Depending on whatever the claim is, we either can send it to restoration or we can pay you out. That's your choice.
Yeah.
And end of the story, right?
What made you go through like the app route instead of just like, because I feel like it's only an app form right now, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
versus what, like a website or something.
Yeah.
So, well, part of it was because of the photos, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
easier for the way we kind of decided was we wanted to give people two functionalities, right? Like most people are on their phones. We're probably apped out. We probably have app fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
but especially sneaker apps. I mean, like if I had to like filter my phone on sneaker apps, it would probably be like half of the phone.
Mm-hmm.
right? But the app was the easiest way for us to create a way for one, people that maybe didn't even want insurance to be able to at least do the value of their sneakers, which, that's kind of a common table stakes thing in any app of that we're kind of focused in, right? But then the insurance part, it also just made it easier, like taking photos, doing any sort of function that was related to the insurance a lot easier, right? Like after, like for me insuring my collection, once they got added to the app,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to insure, or anyone's able to insure even a big collection in like 4 screens, right?
What? Wow.
Yeah, like you select a
Mm-hmm.
plan, you like there's 2 plans, you select one, you select if you want crumble covers, the add-on, you can apply it to all the shoes. You select like the limit, which is something that people that I was, focused on. And some people think their collection is gonna go up. Some people, they're like, oh, maybe I got to shoot too early, it's gonna go down some. So
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of pick which range you want to start in, plus minus, I think right now it's 10% of value. Or you can, depending on like if you agree with the, like I was saying before, a sneakers market value from SoleSafe, well, cool. You could say I don't agree. You can literally press a button that says disagree
Mm-hmm.
and put in a number, right? It'll go to underwriting to make sure you are sure, right? And otherwise, okay, great. And then you check out. Like it's literally like 4 screens.
Yeah.
The only, the part where people will start to see some friction, which is natural, hopefully, is we want to make sure we capture the prior condition or the pre-loss condition of a sneaker. So at some
Mm-hmm.
point, you got to take photos, right? And so back to your point about grails, right? Like if that was where you started, which is a great place to start, it won't take you long because we're used to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Taking photos required, just like you would do if you wanted to sell them or trade them. You got to take
Mm-hmm.
some pictures,
Yeah.
right? And so, we ask for the photos. We know that it's a cumbersome part of the process, that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And so we give people 30 days to do it. And then after that, like if in 30 days, it's like almost like if in 30 days, like if you did the farm, right, if you couldn't take 8 photos, 9 photos in 30 days, like you never wanted to insure it to begin with.
No. Yeah.
Right. And then after 30 days, we drop your coverage because we're like, the deal is like, we're kind of making a handshake with every customer to be like, look, we already know like this is not the sexy part of this. Right. The unsexy part of the app is taking photos.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact, right? And we're working on a way right now, which will probably come out in a couple months, of a bulk way to import your collection, right? Like that's so like the front end part is getting your sneakers in the app, especially if you have a lot, right? It's gonna take time,
Yeah.
right? But the back end part of like getting the insurance is like, all right, we're kind of like, all right, all we're asking you to do is take the photos,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll, that's just like the trade off, and that's it.
No. Yeah. I think that's I when I because like you'll buy sneakers that you'll be like, oh, I've just bought them. I mean, we get into these bad habits of like just buying sneakers because they show up on sneakers, and you're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like, yeah. So that whole process of putting a pair of sneakers on GOAT, and they're like, give me the bottom, give me the top, and I'll be like, man, what the hell? But like, I just want to
yeah.
sell these, yo.
Yo, and it's crazy because like we've had some long conversations about this on our team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go back and forth on it, where we have insurance people that are, their job is to basically be like, Phil, you're the sneakerhead, whatever you want to call it, but we're the ones that are on the insurance side of this, making sure both sides are protected, the customer and soul side, right? And so to do that properly, we need some form, tangible form, to know like proof of ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're like, well, you wanted 8 photos. Maybe the customers end up telling us, hey, look, 3 is good, right? Like whatever those 3 were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like outsoles, toe box, heels, some shit, right? The tag, whatever you want, like maybe make it 3, 4, right? Not 8, 9 photos,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I'm like, hey man, maybe the community will tell us like, yo, I'm good with the 3, and I might be good with it. And I was like, but the community has to also help us learn what is easiest.
Yeah.
It also protects both sides, right? Because at the same time, it would be hard to underwrite and insure a shoe that we've never seen.
Right.
right? So, right, you know, and if you say it's dead stock when you insure it, and it could have never been dead stock, right?
Yeah,
So like,
exactly.
you know, you play out the, you know, which also kind of alludes and illustrates to people like this wasn't some fly by night. We're gonna do insurance. It's like, no, we really spent years almost like
Hmm.
curating and being really intentional about how we thought about every step of the way. And you know, that's just one of them where it's like this is one where I'm like, I'm kind of being like, yo, the community is gonna help us, right?
Yeah.
And if the community helps us learn, we make the product easier, make it better, and hopefully give it, you know, the value that people need. And that's how it works, right? And I think hopefully that becomes like the good sign, which is like I think is what makes all the brands we love so much so valuable to us and important is because they at some point take the time to understand you,
Hmm.
right? And then they iterate the product to that, you know, and you in turn you double down. You're like, oh
Yeah.
shit. You're like, yeah, you heard me. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. And I'm like, and I'm here. Like I'm like you. Like I got sneakers at the store, at the
Hmm.
box.
Hmm.
Right? Like, you know. Um, so and it's not something for me at least, it's hopefully like the whole point is right to not we have this is the mission, right? No matter
Hmm.
what, I'm sure what people say, like insurance is very simple, right? Like it's not a complex situation. It's by definition the transfer of risk. You got a lot of value at your crib. You're gonna pay a small amount of money to transfer the risk of the greater value
Hmm.
to SoleSafe. So that means if something happens, you get your money back, right?
Yeah.
Like it's basically like a bank. It's like you're making deposits so that if something happens, you get paid back in
Exactly.
whole. In whole, if not, maybe more.
Hmm.
Like that's the crazy part, maybe more. Because like along the way, we're telling you, hey, your sneaker went up, the flan went up another 10,000.
Hmm.
I bet you would want to know from the insurance company to be like, yo, am I underinsured? Because you know how much it is. Like that's the crazy thing. Like people,
Yeah.
I tell people this all the time. Like sneaker collectors, the sneaker community, we're not dumb. We're actually some of the most sophisticated people, especially with numbers, than we even know.
Hmm.
Maybe even more than like people that look at stock. Like the sneakers move and the values change so crazily, like and so fast. But it's like, but we know every detail about every sneaker. It's like nuts. And it's just inside of our little brains.
No, yeah, for sure. I think it's we. That's why people look at us so freaking weird when we were
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
oh,
yo, y'all are crazy. It's like, yo, we're not crazy. We just love something so deeply. And it's like, I love it just as much as you love trading cards. It's like, you know, trading cards and comic books like the back of your hand.
hmm,
Right. But I know all my sneakers like that.
yeah,
And I know if something goes up, or I don't know how I know. It's like osmosis, like, you know, but I know, you know.
yeah,
And so to me, it's like I would want to have the trust that my who I'm paying to ensure protect what I love the most knows it just as much, right? Or is willing to hear me out about what I know,
hmm,
you know, and respect that enough and then be like, all right, cool. If something happens, we got you. Right. And so like for me, it's like, well, I'm in the room being like, yo, we got him. You know, like we got him. Like,
yeah.
you know, in a room full of other people that are like, what are we doing? We're insuring sneakers. You fucking right. That's what we're doing. You know?
That's super dope, man. I think I I'm rooting for you. You got me in your corner. I mean, you obviously have
Yeah.
this podcast in your corner.
Uh,
But we also end every episode with another question. Since we're towards the end of the episode, I'm gonna ask you
yeah.
this one question. So, think about the time. Transport yourself back to where you answered your first kicks question, right? But you're you now. You're standing behind yourself as you open that pair of fives box, that Jordan 5 box. What would you tell yourself? Uh, Tell your younger self as you open that box.
I'll be like, that little tin can box, man. I would tell him, hey, you're gonna do something different. You don't even know it. Like that's gonna be um hopefully help change the game a little bit in terms
Mm-hmm.
of sneakers, right? Like you're gonna be able to do something in sneakers that didn't exist. And then, you know, you were a part of creating it and then pushing the needle a little bit forward. So like the thing you're touching right now is actually more than a shoe, right? It's more than laces, threads, fabric, material in a 10 box. Like it's like dreams and aspirations that will manifest through your love for that thing right there.
Yo, amazingly said.
Appreciate it.
Amazingly said, man. And you know what we say every week: wear your kicks.
Man, wear them.
Peace.
Peace.
The insurance guy's telling you to wear them. He's wearing.
Wear them things.